Hey guys, Hunter here with the Grab Matters podcast. I first and foremost just wanted to say thank you to everyone who's been listening, liking, commenting, subscribing, sharing. That honestly means the world. Like, it helps so much to get the podcast out there to everyone. I also want to say that I did get some merch up on the website now. Got some long sleeve shirts, some short sleeve shirts, got a mug. We'll probably end up getting some more stuff up on there as well. That really means the world to me too, to support the podcast. You know, all the money is just going right back into it. I'm also started up a Patreon, so if you're interested in a little bit of behind the scenes access, seeing who the guests are early, stuff like that, definitely check that out. I just want to say thank you to everyone for listening. Enjoy the episode.
I approve waterboarding. They're talking about wakeboarding. The thing about wakeboarding, every trick is an invert.
Backside,
air railings,
a new dimension.
All right, welcome back to another episode of the Grab Matters podcast. Today we have a very, very special guest, Jeff Mathis. How you doing, Jeff?
What's up, man? Good to be here. I'm doing great.
Happy to have you, man. I usually start off with a pretty easy, simple question. Let's actually start off with a story. I want to hear about the slam you had.
Oh, in California?
Yes.
With Clark?
Yep.
Yeah.
Run us through that.
I don't really remember it, so there's not much to say about it. No. I remember we were at this kid's house. I cannot recall his name. That was probably some brain cells lost after the crash, but we were at his place. It was just outside of Velocity, like Northern California up there. And it was called The Vineyard, just his little private 2.0 in his backyard. His parents owned a wine vineyard. They had a nice Airbnb, like up in the trees and stuff people would stay at. It was a really, really sick spot. What was his name? I think his name was Jacob. I'm not really.
Was it Jacob Sunday?
No.
Oh, I was going to say out in Cali.
No, it was one of those local VIP kids.
Okay.
And they knew him and they hooked us up with him and they're like, oh, you should go ride his park. And so we did. And, you know, he had the Felix unit obstacle out there, which was sick. It was a really short run. Like, you'd go down, pretty much have to drop because there was, like, no turnaround room and come back. And that was the main obstacle in the middle. And then I think he had, like, a little flat rail off to the side or something like that. Anyways, it was a sick spot.
Yeah. And
going down to the starting dock, there was a double handrail. And, you know, first thing we saw when we got there, and it's like, we got to hit that. Like, Clark's into it, I'm into it. Like, we got to hit that. I'll get some photos of you. You get a clip of me on it. Like, he wanted to do a front lip on the right rail. Right. So he did that. Perfect. It was sick. I got a sick photo of it. Loved it. Then he did a front board on it. Didn't come out as good, but it was still dope, you know? And I was like, I want to fucking banana slide that thing. Like, I want to double banana slide that thing. It's going to be sick. I'll just start from the top. We'll make a little stool to, like, hop off of, and I'll just lock right into it, pull straight down. It pulled straight, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it was directly under the cable. I was like, it'll just pull straight. It's going to be fucking fantastic, right? And excuse me, Mom, saying the F word.
You're good.
Here we are. So yeah, we were there. He was into it. The dude was into it that owned the place. The mom was into it. She was there. She was like, "Oh yeah, you can do that. It's fine. So we did that. There was a girl taking photos. Her name was started with a C. Oh, man, Mahalia is really good friends with her. I just can't remember her fucking name.
You can text me after. I'll put
Yeah.
I'll put
Okay. Sweet. Okay. So she was there taking photos. She was like, "Okay, I'll get a shot of you. Clark will get a clip. All right, let's do this." So I climb up, strap in, everything's good. I go for that first pull, nail it straight off. You know, kind of do a little tap on the floating dock there at the end. But who gives a shit? You can hear in the clip, like, the kid who owns the place just freaking out, like, "Oh my God, he actually did it!" Blah blah blah, because he's never done that. Well, I don't know. He's never done it, so
Yeah.
I was hyped. And then I come back to the dock, and the girl's like, "Oh, I didn't get it. I missed it." And I was like,
That's why you did it again.
"Yeah." And I was like, "What do you mean? Like, I was right there. You had so much time to prep." Okay, whatever. It's fine. I'll just do it again. That was so easy. I'll just do it again. So I get up, your typical just one more try again thing. Get up there, lock into it, start to come off to the right a little bit. So yeah, my nose fell off, dug into that corner right there at the end. You can see in the video, it just stops completely.
That's okay, kill the dog. 1, 2, 3.
Are you okay, dude? You good? Yeah. Anything broken?
No.
Oh shit. Woo! Oh my god, you scared me, dude.
And the board does the opposite of what it's supposed to do. It bends the other way, and I get ripped out of my boots. I fall straight to my face on the floating dock. Let me thank God I'm wearing my helmet, or else I'd probably not be sitting here talking to you about it. But yeah, I smack. I remember locking into it. I remember going down, slipping off, and then after that, it's just blank, pretty much. But I wake up in the water, Clark pulling me out, whatever, and I'm just like, what the fuck happened? Like, I can't see shit. Like, my vision's all messed up. Like, it's black, it's dark, it's coming in and out in waves, and I'm just sitting there like, what happened? And Clark's like, are you okay? Are you okay? I was like, yeah, I think so. And like, I didn't know where I was. I forgot I was in California.
Oh yeah.
Everything was gone. So that was the craziest part, was just waking up under the water. I
didn't know you made it all the way to the water.
Yeah, if you watch the clip back, it cuts off. Like I look up at the camera, just kind of like kind of thing, and he cuts the clip because I don't know, he was concerned, so he cut the clip, and after that, I just kind of
bounced in the
rolled
water.
into the water.
Okay.
Not so much a bounce. I remember just kind of like just
because you ejected, right?
Yeah, I was totally out.
Okay,
I was totally out. Later, I cut the nose of that board off, just as a souvenir, because it looked like a big shark bite had been taken out of the nose. So I have that back in my house, sitting up in a place of glory, to remember all the pain that I went through that day. But yeah, I mean, the board was fucked. The boots were fine. I think they were rideable. I think I ended up riding them the rest of the time. And yeah. My head just hurt, and I lost a little bit of time.
It's the tale's old as time. The after goes of you got it, but I guess you needed the slam to certify the make.
Oh yeah.
So.
Oh yeah. No, if it had happened opposite, obviously I wouldn't have got the make.
The clip, so
I think luckily I got the clip. I was stoked on it. It's probably one of my best clips I've ever had. And then that slam. I mean, John Dreiling had that CBD giveaway thing a year or two ago, and I submitted that because he was like, "Oh, you can use whatever clips." I was like, "I'll just submit that," and I ended up winning. So it's like,
that's tough.
Validation, awesome.
That's tough to beat that slam. Oh my gosh, I've always wanted to hear that story. So that's good. I'll put the clip in of the slam. I'm sure I can find.
Oh,
it
you better. You better. I think I've got it somewhere.
Okay, I'm
so
sure
I could
sure
pull
I
it
can
for
find
you.
it.
Yeah.
Let's jump back to the early days of young Jeff Mathis growing up in Montgomery, Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think we need to get into wakeboarding, quite immediately. I think we can just kind of start about, your early life growing up in Montgomery, Alabama. Is that where you're born and raised?
Yep.
Okay. Run me through the early days of what living in Montgomery is like.
Man, living in Montgomery sucks. They've done a lot with that town over the years to bring some cooler stuff. But when I was growing up, there just wasn't anything there. There wasn't shit to do. We would hang out in the baseball field parking lot before going to find something to do. That's what we did. That's where we'd meet up and shit. But when I was a kid, before wakeboarding and stuff, I was playing a lot of baseball and football, soccer when I was really young, but mainly baseball and football, and doing the whole thing, all-stars for baseball each year, football not so much, but I enjoyed it. And at some point, I think it was it was right when I found skateboarding and wakeboarding, when I was 12 or 13. That's when the coaches took all the fun out of baseball and stuff like that. They're like, all right, this is what you're going to do. You're going to college for this. You're going to be a professional athlete. We're going to buckle down kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And I talked to my dad. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. This isn't fun. Yeah. So, oh, yeah, that's fine. It's fine. We'll just go to the lake. So we'd been renting this house on Lake Martin which is like the biggest lake in Alabama. I think it's the second largest man-made in the nation, shoreline-wise.
Oh,
It's like
okay.
it's like 800 plus miles of shoreline. So
Oh.
you might fact check on that, but that's what I've been told. But so we were renting this little cabin up there for years, and we'd always loved going up there. And when all that started, when I stopped doing all that, I guess we really just spent all of our time up there during the summers and stuff. And that's where I found water sports in general. Started off on the kneeboard. There's some sick photos of me kneeboarding, getting maybe that much height off the wake, stuff like that. And I remember going over to my friend's house. Cole and Jack Simon, it was actually some neighbors from back home. That was the first time I'd really seen anybody that could ride a wakeboard well, or I say well, just somebody that get up and try to huck flips. It was behind this old ski boat with a pole. And I just remember going out one afternoon and watching Cole try flip after flip after flip, just back rolls, and not really getting any close. But I was like, this is like the coolest shit. I love this shit. This is awesome. I want to do this. So after about a day of trying to get up, just, submarine, water in your face kind of thing, I finally figured it out. And I was just hooked on it. So, and that was about the same time I started skateboarding, which I love too.
Okay.
Just really anything with a board at that point.
So before you said your parents had a boat, you go to a cabin and rent. What kind of boat was that?
Back in the day, my dad had a 35-foot cigarette boat, like a cafe racer, like big old womp 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 kind of boat. And actually, that's what I've really learned how to ride behind.
So what's wakeboarding like behind a 35-foot cigarette boat? I mean, imagine falling and turning the boat around is not fun.
It sucks. I remember, you would see that boat cruising down with me behind it. We're probably only going like 12 or 13 miles an hour, and it's just the whole time. It's got two engines on it, making so much noise, and it's just whomping down the lake. Like, it was ridiculous. It was not an ideal situation, but he loved that boat. So we had it for a few more years, and after that, he got rid of it, and we ended up getting like a little jet boat, like a little Sea-Doo jet boat, and then ended up getting a little Sea Ray with a tower,
There you go.
which I thought was the best.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Until I found out what a real wake boat was. But I learned like back 180s and tow 3s and stuff like that behind that boat, and it was great. I loved it.
So on that cigarette boat, I guess we can talk about, this is probably around the same time, or actually, I don't know when you met Alex Graydon and how far back your relationship goes. You guys were super young, right?
Since he was born.
Okay.
Yeah, my dad and his dad were good friends growing up, so I'd known that kid since he was born.
Sweet. And so did you teach him to wakeboard, or how'd that?
I taught him how to get up, and he taught me literally everything else.
Okay.
And like that kid, he was such a natural when it came to it. I remember teaching him how to get up and, just cruising around a little bit. And that was about the extent of my knowledge that I could impart on him. You know what I mean? After that, like his dad, Rick, who's like probably the smartest guy I know, just computer whiz genius guy. He worked from home or would, shoot out to jobs, stuff like that. It wasn't like your regular 9 to 5 like my dad. He'd go into work every day. And if he got home at the end of the day with enough time to pull me, he'd pull me kind of thing. But, Rick was working from home, could pull Alex a lot more. So he was just got so much water time, and Rick got super into it, and loved it, all that stuff. So Alex just took to it much quicker because A, super talented, as we all know, and B, just plenty of water time. So that's a good combination.
Yeah.
And, he taught me my first 180, my first back roll, like all that stuff.
Speaking of learning tricks, that first 180, I heard there might be a good story about learning your first wake-to-wake 180. Mm-hmm. Let's hear that.
Yes. It was behind Alex's first, we'll call it the first legitimate wake boat, I guess. It was the Malibu Sunsetter, I believe. It had like a rainbow graphic down the side. Mm-hmm. Like it was a boat. It was awesome. It had a pole on it. And it was me, my dad, Rick, and Alex. And I was out there trying, wake to wake hillside 180s, just nice front side. Everybody loves that. So I was trying that. And this was back when we had the more ski ropes, so not like a Spectra line that doesn't shoot back when you put a little pressure onto it, right? So I'm going out there, I'm getting really close. Every time I'm just falling over on my butt, checking all that stuff, and I finally get one where I land kind of solid. My dad looks over at them and it's like, he landed it. That's awesome. He landed it. And as he's looking away from me, I'm falling back, holding on as hard as I possibly can. And the next thing you know, ping the rope. It comes all the way back to the boat, hits him in the back of the head. He has to get probably 7 or 8 stitches in his head because of that. And, I'm sitting in the water like, man, I was so close. I had that, blah, blah, blah. And he comes back around. They're like, get in the boat, take your board off, get in the boat. And I'm like, why? What'd I do? And my dad's sitting there like, God damn it, fucking shit.
Bleeding out of his head.
So he goes and gets stitches like you do in that situation. And I remember when it was all said and done and everything was healed up, he was like, I'm not going back to the doctor, get these out. We're over at Rick's house. And Rick's just like, oh, I got some scissors and some tweezers. I'll take them out. And I just remember him ripping my dad's stitches out on the dock from that. And I'm just sitting there like, sorry. I really thought I had it that time.
Time to get a non-stretch rope. I think is the next move there.
That was honestly, we didn't even
Didn't
know that was a thing.
Yeah.
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 Like I was 14 at the time. That would have been like 2001, 2002 maybe.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, I know they're out there, but we didn't know anything about them.
Yeah.
So we were just teaching ourselves. We didn't know.
Got a rope
we
with a
were
handle.
doing.
We're good.
Yeah.
Getting up.
We
to
just
some
used one of their
ladies.
slalom lines that they had laying around,
Yeah.
whatever it was.
So you and Graydon, talk a little bit more about your younger years. Did you guys grow up liking each other right away, or
No, not at all. Is that what he told you?
Yeah, no, that's not what he said.
Yeah. No, not at all, man. He was the annoying little brother that I had to hang out with because my older brother, 2 years older, his name's Peyton, and then Sonny is Alex's older sister, who is I think a year older than me, and so a year younger than my brother. They were buddy, and they'd let me hang out with them a little bit, but I was still the annoying little kid too. So they didn't want me around that much, so I just got kind of pawned off on Alex, and yeah, we didn't like each other growing up because
Just annoying little shit.
Yeah, because we were both annoying little shits, man. Him more than me, but whatever. But when we started wakeboarding together, that's what really brought us together and made us really, really good friends. And I got past all that, and he's one of my best friends in the world. Like he was going to be my best man at my wedding, but he couldn't leave Australia during the time because of COVID and all that shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, so love that kid. Yeah.
So wakeboarding really does bring people together.
It really, really does. That's the moral of the story there.
Is there anyone in that crew when you're younger that you're riding with that kind of, might want to mention or bring up or anything?
Ben Watts.
Okay.
Yeah, he used to rip. I mean, he could get out there and still rip. When we first started hanging out with him, he was like 8 years old, and me and Alex are both like, Alex is probably 5 or 6 years older than him, and I'm like 8 to 10 years older than him, whatever it is, I can't remember. But yeah, he was this little ginger kid that was probably about as tall as this table that could go out there and like do little back threes and stuff. I think he was the first kid in the boys division to do like a back three in a contest or something years ago. This was back when like Noah Flegel was in that division, and they were both tiny little redheads, that would go out there. And then one year Noah turned into a freaking beast.
Yeah.
We all know that. But Ben Watts was somebody we used to ride with a lot. My buddy David Luker, who lives in just outside of Atlanta now, up by Lake Lanier with his wife and kids, and he used to crash on my couch like in college and stuff, and we'd go to the lake all the time, come ride. He's an accountant, so it was very funny the life he was living at the time, like especially when he was crashing on my couch at when I was going to school at Auburn. He was going through a divorce with his wife at the time, and he was just like, man, I can't stay down there. They had a house in Troy. He was working in Montgomery, and he had jobs in like Birmingham, I think they had to go to. So he was on the road all the time, man. And he's like, first of all, I don't want to go down there and be with her. Can I just stay on your couch? And we lived in a duplex at the time. We lived on the top floor, and the bottom floor was open and not locked. and had a couch down there, and the AC was on and everything. And I was like, "You just want to stay down there?" And he just did until somebody moved in there. But yeah, I mean, he was driving back and forth, man. That kid put so many miles on his car for a couple years just from all the driving he was doing. It was insane. But yeah, he was somebody. We actually met him via Wake World forums, I believe. He was just like, I need somebody to ride with in this area who can help me out. And Ben's dad, Ted, was on there because he was like a big forum guy at the time. He was on there. He found him, so he introduced him to us. And yeah, I mean, me, Alex, and David were just out there all the time whenever we could. Yeah. Whenever we could be. So.
Would you say in those early days was like Lake Martin's huge, obviously. Yeah. Was there a lot of people wakeboarding? Was that huge? Not
that we could see.
Okay. So it really wasn't, super popular.
Yeah. We knew there were other people out there riding. We'd see them every once in a while.
Sure, yeah.
But never to the point where we're going to track that person down and see if they want to ride with us or something. Because we had a nice little crew thing going. Yeah. We were fine where we were. One other kid I want to mention, was Clint Westbrook, who was there at the first Bra Fest we did. This dude from Dadeville, Alabama, a little country boy. I think he's living in like Gulf Shores or somewhere south Alabama. He's a boat captain now, fishing captain. So he's doing good for himself. But he was this country kid that had such good style. He was he played football, so he's a strong little dude, like a little stocky dude, kind of like Quinn. Yeah. Honestly, little stocky guy. You're like, there's no way this kid has style. And then he goes out there and shreds, and you're like, oh shit, okay. Thank you for that. So yeah, he was somebody we rode with a lot too. He had a 2006 or maybe 2007 210. Okay. That was like my favorite boat ever.
I mean, it's one of the best wakes of all time, I would imagine.
It was so good. Yeah. So he had that up in the north part of the lake. It was a good hour drive to his place from Alex's because they were completely across the lake from each other. Yeah. But yeah, anytime we'd go up ride with him, that boat was dope. He'd come ride with us behind Alex's Nautique or Axis or whatever the hell he had that year, kind of thing.
So a good crew though.
Like, yeah.
Plenty of people that you could shred with.
Yeah.
Sweet. So that probably helps.
Yeah.
You sticking with it then.
Yeah, I actually worked for Clint's dad for like a summer or two, like cutting grass and stuff at some of his properties, and we'd take our lunch breaks and go out on the boat.
That's awesome.
Have a quick rip and eat a sandwich and get back to it, kind of thing. So.
Doesn't get any better than that as a summer as a kid.
Yeah.
I know. So you did spend, I don't know how much time you spent in Orlando. I did a little bit of Facebook, digging way back. Looks like you were in Orlando around 2007. Mm-hmm. So is there anything, is that kind of in this, like obviously after you were discovering wakeboarding, after this crew, is that kind of the same time frame of like, this is kind of immediately after you went and visited Orlando?
Yeah.
For the first time, or had you been there before?
The first time was, let's see. First time I went to ride cable down here was probably before that.
Okay.
No, because I was with college buddies. So yeah, it was like 2006.
Okay.
I started Auburn in 2006. So it was either 2006 or 2007 that we came down here for the first time and rode cable and just loved it. It was just so much fun. That was before we found out other parks existed and how much better they were. No offense, OWC, but it just is what it is. Yeah. But yeah, those first few trips down here was so much fun. All people wanted to do was party all night and then go ride at the cable all day. And we got some boat sets here and there when we could. No, actually the first time I came to Orlando was with Alex and my dad and Rick and our friend Willow and his dad Phil. And we trailered the boat down and did the whole shebang. We rode on the lakes, we rode cable. That was the first time I rode cable.
Gotcha.
And I remember being worried about getting off the dock, obviously, because never done this before. Got out there, fine, everything's great. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm just going to take a couple laps, just figure out the turns, figure them out, no big deal. And I get out on the water and I see that first kicker on the right. I think this was when it was actually down at the end and it was like the knee breaker. It wasn't.
Just the wedge?
Yeah, just the wedge, whatever they called it. And I remember just hitting it, going inverted, not on purpose, just like, oh shit, this is weird. And came back around and my dad was just like, I thought you weren't going to hit anything. I was like, yeah, I thought I wasn't going to either. But So that was when I was 16, first time
Gotcha.
we went down there. And then when I was in college, the first time I went with my college buddies, like 18.
Okay,
So,
but
yeah, so
after
I
that
get
first
confused.
time, you didn't ride much cable at all?
We would go down any chance we could, but yeah, until my parents let us do it on our own, it wasn't that often. So we'd do like a yearly trip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was the closest park, right? Because this is way
Yes.
before Terminus. Not way before, but this is
It was pretty
quite a ways before
pretty way
Terminus.
before.
Okay. So I guess that second time, I'm just very curious about you riding the projects. Was that in 2007?
That was the summer of either 2006 or 2007.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I was 18, so that would have been 2006. I went with my buddy Craig to the week-long camp, and it was so much fun. Like, that shit was so much fun. We rode all the rails, like that was when the Relentless rail was out there, and I was like, I get to hit this. This is fucking sick. And the 100-yard or 100-foot long slingshot flat bar was there. That was dope. What do you call it? That little A-frame they had. The rails were awesome.
Yeah.
And our boat coach, or my boat coach, was Robbie Jakes, if you remember him. No, you don't remember him?
I don't think so, no. This is before my time, I think.
Okay. So it was, Pat was out there all the time. He was cool as hell, still is to this day. I'm lucky to call him a friend, so that's good. Robbie Jakes, I don't know what he's doing these days, but he was this dude. I'm pretty sure he was from the Virginia area. Don't quote me on that, but I want to say that. He rode for Byerly Boards for a little bit. He was our boat coach. Was kind of a dick. Like, I'd be out there on the water, like, I want to try this, I want to try that. No, you're going to try this. You're trying that. And I was like, all right, you're the coach. So I did. And that was like, what did I learn that trip? Like, I think I learned a Tootsie Roll and maybe a couple other things like that. Yeah, so it was a fun trip.
Yeah.
And it was somewhere I'd always wanted to go and always wanted to do. And it, there was already so much history at that place. It was just cool to be there. And I think I saw Ollie Jerome riding rails for the first time there, and I was like, that's fucking sick. And he's one of the coolest guys out there now. I lucky to be friends with him. He's awesome. That was before rail riding was really that cool, and they were making it super fucking cool.
Mm-hmm.
Him and Nate and who was that other guy that was there? There's someone else. There was some other rider that was there that's not really in the scene anymore, but he was ripping, and it was a lot of fun.
So you got to watch some pros go to work on rails during the camp or whatever at the same time. Okay, that's awesome.
I did have a pretty fun fall there at the A-frame that was past the Relentless rail. It's mainly just an up and down with a very short middle piece for an A-frame. And I hit it heel side. So coming towards the Relentless rail, hit it heel side, board slide, gap, board slide. Oh man, that was sick. I'm going to do a toe side now. So I went up front lip, jumped, fell off to the side, somehow got my arm through the handle and landed. And luckily that handle was so rotted and old that I just snapped the rope.
Wow.
Rather than it snapping my arm,
Yeah.
and I can't remember who was pulling me, but it was probably Pat or somebody, but he came back around. He's like, oh shit, man, are you okay? I felt like a huge jerk on it. I was like, yeah, I think I put my arm through it, but I'm fine.
Yeah.
And he pulls the handle in and it's broken at where it connects to the handle. And I was like, oh, thank God.
Yeah, that could have been my arm.
Yeah. So they let me keep that as a souvenir. I lost it somewhere along the line between moves, but yeah, that was a fun memory.
Dang. Thankful for the shitty handles.
Yeah, I was likely they let it sit out in the sun for however long they did or whatever.
Safety purposes.
Yeah.
Is this around the same time you got your first camera? When did you get your first camera, I guess?
I got my first camera when I was about 15 or 16. Okay. So this would have been, the projects would have been after that.
Okay.
My first camera, if I recall correctly, was a Canon 30D. And I just got it to take pictures of me, Alex, David, Ben, Clint, whoever we were riding with, because we're riding, we're progressing. We want to document that progression. And it's not even so much that, oh man, I want to take really sick photos of us. I just wanted to take photos just to have them.
Yeah.
And to see what we were doing last year compared to this year and so on and so forth. And then it just kind of snowballed into what it is today. I would take it out to the skate park. I'd take it out on the boat, just shoot whatever I could, whenever I could. And I just started to be like, I really enjoy doing this. This is fun. Like to chat with a rider, to see what they have in their mind as far as the shot goes and see what I have in my mind as far as the shot goes, and to collaborate and to just make something cool that people would enjoy. It wasn't even so that people would enjoy it. It's just so we would enjoy it.
Yeah.
And then at some point somebody's like, oh, these are pretty good. It was like, oh, shit, awesome. And that's when they started popping up in Unleashed and Wake Journal and, eventually in Alliance and stuff. And, it was just really, I just loved doing it.
Yeah.
And it was fun.
But initially, that wasn't like a career path or anything. It was just having fun.
Yeah.
And you decided to go to college. You said Auburn, right?
Yes.
So 2006. What did you study?
I studied business at first. That didn't really suit me that well. I actually ended up having to drop out of one of my semesters because I snapped my right leg in half. Nothing wakeboard related. I was in Atlanta at the time. We were at a friend's house, and he had a balcony overlooking his pool. So we were having fun, jumping off the balcony into the pool. It was great. The girls were there. We were trying to impress them. That's whatever stupid fucking shit we were doing. So there was a rail that you had to get up onto. That was metal, and got kind of slippery over time after we did it multiple times. I had probably jumped off of it 4 or 5 times. I hadn't had anything to drink at this point, like 0 alcohol in my system. And the way the pool was lined up down under the patio or the porch, if I had slipped to the left, would have been totally fine. But I slipped to the right. So I hit the side of the pool with my right leg, first thing that hits, only thing that really hits. And then I flop into the pool, and all my friends see it, and they're like, oh, shit, get him out, get him out. And I'm swimming to the surface at this point. I was like, wow, that kind of hurt. Yeah. But I was in shock. I didn't really feel it. And I start pulling myself up, and they're coming to grab me, and they start pulling me out, and then they see my leg just kind of doing this whole thing, like bones out and everything. They dropped me.
They dropped you?
That's as far as I remember. They dropped me. I pulled myself out, just kind of scooted back on my butt and laid down. And they're like, oh, we're going to call the ambulance. I was like, yeah, you need to call the ambulance. So that was in Atlanta. My parents were in New Orleans at the time, visiting my brother, who was going to school at Tulane. And they get this call from my friend Drew from the hospital, at maybe 1 a.m., something like that. Hi, Mr. and Mrs. Mathis. Jeff got hurt, and we're in Atlanta, and where are you guys, kind of thing. And I had to have emergency surgery.
Jeff got hurt. Way to bury the lead on that one. Yeah, he broke his leg in half.
Yeah, dude. I'll show you the scars afterwards.
Okay.
It was pretty fucked up. So yeah, I had to have emergency surgery that night to get a rod in my leg, which is still in my leg. And then there's I don't even know what they would call it, but another piece that's connecting that was connecting my fibula together. So my tibia and my fibula. And yeah, it was gnarly. It was bad.
It sounds bad. So you had to take a semester, obviously, off for that.
I dropped out that semester, and the funniest thing I remember my mom telling me was when she was on the phone with the admissions lady or whoever in that office. She started telling her the story, and the first thing the lady says is, "Oh, no refunds." She's like, "Fuck you." She's like, "That's not what we're worried about right now. I just want my son's leg to not rot off at this point."
Yeah.
But just funny.
No refunds. Jeez.
Yeah.
You were in a band in college.
Yeah, I was.
What was the name of the band? Or how many times did you get the cops called every time you were?
Every time we played at the house.
Yep.
So the original name of the band was called Leave Your Mark, and we were like a hardcore punk band. It was just play as fast as you can, as loud as you can. Yep. Yeah. Do you like that shit?
I don't know.
You
but I just know what you're talking about.
Sick. Not too many people do. It's funny. But yeah, we were 2 guitars, a bass, drum, and a vocalist. And after a little bit of doing that, we ended up just scrapping the vocalist, the bassist moved into the vocalist position. We dropped the bass and we dropped that other guitarist. So it was literally just me, the drummer, his name was James, and my buddy Steve was the singer. So then we called ourselves Vices. And we just had a lot of fun. You know, we would have these house parties and we would play, and people seemed to like it for the most part.
Hey, live music.
So yeah, dude, like it was fun. But yeah, we had the cops called on us a few times. The main one that I remember, we weren't playing that night, but we had this band. My buddy Andy was living with us at the time. We were back in this duplex that I was talking about with David living downstairs. Me and my buddy Matthew were on the top floor, and Andy and our other friend Michael had moved into the bottom floor at that point. And Andy was tied into the music scene. He knew promoters, and he was actually did DJ stuff on the side. And we went to those parties and had fun, all that shit. But so he knew promoters. He got this band called Fear Before the March of Flames and Heavy Lolo to come play at our house, which they were pretty big size in the that kind of scene at that point. So it was fun. You know, it was really cool to have that in our backyard. And we told our neighbors and everything. They were actually cool with it. So we didn't get the cops called, but it was just an insane amount of people in our little cul-de-sac. Like, I remember walking outside and there just being probably 200 people out in my backyard. And it was a pretty small backyard, and it just spilled into the cul-de-sac and out into the front yard and stuff. And we didn't have it fenced off, so it was just kind of like pushed back in the back area. But yeah, it was insane. Like it was a lot of fun. And then apparently the promoters like kind of beat up Andy a little bit to get money out of him because he had promised them X amount of money and didn't have it. I didn't know this till after the fact, but they just kind of like cornered him in the house and like you're gonna give us money or we're gonna beat the shit out of you kind of thing. And he did.
I mean, you got two choices.
Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah.
Mob style.
Yeah.
No shenanigans though from having that many people over at your house.
Oh, there were plenty of shenanigans. I just don't know if I should repeat any of them.
Yeah, I mean, I had a couple parties in college at the house we lived in, and similar to that situation. And we had a big party. It was like welcome week or whatever, the first week back, and there were, I don't know, hundreds of people at the house, and parties wrapping up at the end of the night. And I have this old vintage kneeboard. I don't know why, but it's just sitting in the back, and it's just like kind of hanging out. We mess around with it, and this dude just starts stealing it. He starts stealing my kneeboard for no reason. I'm like, hey, man, that's mine.
That's what people do at parties. They just go steal random shit.
They'll steal your dishes and shit. It's like, why are you stealing my pan? You have this for sure at your place.
We had stuff like that happen, yeah.
Drunk college kids do the weirdest thing.
Dude, they do the dumbest shit, man. They do the dumbest shit. I did some of it. Friends did some of it. It's just what you do.
It is what you do, man. Did you ever make it on Wake Siege?
Yeah. Not for me personally. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Not for me personally. This was like when Wake Siege was just starting, and I thought it was such a dickhead thing to do. It's like, you're such a jerk, whoever this person is. And then we come to find out it's Dylan Miller, and you know he's great. Everybody loves Dylan. But I can't remember what the clip was, but I remember talking shit back to him on Instagram or whatever, and he wrote like something like Dear Jeff Mathis kind of thing, and then like had this little paragraph about me. So I don't remember what it said, but yeah, it was just like, all right.
So you did think it was like you weren't a fan?
I was not a fan
initially. Even growing up skateboarding, and you kind of saw the maybe not great parts of wakeboarding, you still were like, nah, this is...
I was just like, man, why you got to go out there and be a dick? That's all I thought about it as.
Fair enough.
Yeah, as it went on, and I guess as I matured as a rider and stuff, and I could see it more and more, I was like, maybe there is somewhat of a need for this.
Yeah.
You know? But it just hit me at the wrong time, I guess.
For sure. That makes sense. Sometimes it can be tough to see the humor in it. Sometimes there's not enough humor where you're like, that's a little below the line, but whatever. When's Terminus? So you're in college. Is Terminus right after, or is Terminus during this phase?
Actually, I graduated college, and I actually moved to Valdosta before that.
Sweet.
Before Terminus. So I hit up Quinn. I was like, hey, I'm graduating. I think it was like spring semester. I graduated in 2012, and I wanted to spend the summer at the lake, at Lake Martin, living at my parents' cabin. So I did that, and then I was like, hey, man, I want to move down there. I want to work at the park. I want to work with you. Okay, sick. We'll set you up, whatever. So I did. This was back when it was 2.0. Very, very early stages. I mean, they had been living in the shop pretty much, like just working there all day, every day, just trying to get this place up and running. And I get down there and I get an apartment, do the whole thing. I only got like a 6-month lease because I was like, I don't know how this is really gonna go. But I loved it, dude. Like, I loved being out at the park every day, being with those guys. Quinn and Luke are two of the best people out there, and that park has turned into such an incredible place. You know, from what it was. If you never saw it for what it was, you cannot appreciate what it is now, because it is absolutely insane, the transformation that they've been through. I don't know when you first heard of it or
way
saw
before
it.
my time, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, just two towers, one beginner side, one advanced side. They had that giant wall on the side, kickers, flat bar, some other concoctions that they had come up with. It was just great. Like, it was so much fun.
Yeah.
Valdosta, that city, it sucked. There was nothing to do there. It's come up now. Like, they've got a little downtown scene, and all the guys down there are hyped on it. That's great. But when I was living there, I hated it.
I mean, coming from a college town, a lot going on, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
You're kind of going to
And Valdosta is a college town.
Valdosta State University.
Yeah, but
D3 champs or D2 champs football a couple years ago.
Go them, yes.
I don't know. I don't know what their thing is. I really wish I remember now. But
No,
anyways.
I don't either. Football is very huge in Lowndes County, though. I'll tell you that.
Maybe
especially.
Trojans. Valdosta State Trojans. That sounds. Warriors?
No, it's the Blazers.
Is it the Blazers?
I think.
They got red and white logo. I know that.
Something like that.
I'll pull it up.
It doesn't matter. But anyways, yeah, I mean, high school football is huge down there.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, I mean, there's nothing to do in the town. So, I mean, we'd go to the same Mexican restaurant, which they still go to, which is awesome.
Yeah.
You know, but we'd go to that. We'd go to the park. We'd go bowling. That was about it.
The park is the coolest part.
The park is 100% the coolest part of that town.
Definitely is.
Yeah. But yeah, so Terminus happened after that. I get the call from Austin Singleton. He runs Singleton Marine Group in Atlanta, and he's got a location in Alabama and plenty of other locations all around. I get a call from him saying, "Hey, I'm putting this together. I want you to be a part of it," kind of thing. And he was bringing on Chase Andrews, who was OG wake rider.
We might have to take a quick
Yeah,
pause.
a little interview. We were at Terminus, correct? Before so rudely interrupted by Mr. Roomba.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was talking to Austin Singleton about getting a job up there, like a manager type position, which I thought was dope. I had heard whisperings of this park happening and all this stuff. I was like, that would be fucking sick, man. Atlanta's a cool town. Like, we used to go up there for shows all the time when I was at Auburn. Like, I love Atlanta.
Yeah.
I got a lot of friends there, all that stuff. Yeah, so he was bringing on Chase Andrews to really run the park, be the on-site GM. And Chase was an OG that I had known for a while in the wake scene, and he was always a cool guy. So he hits me up with that. Kind of dangles me a little bit about it, just like, oh, I don't really know when I need you up here, blah blah blah, that kind of thing. So I'm just kind of playing a waiting game. And at that point, I'm telling Quinn, you know, like, hey man, I got this possible opportunity. I think I'm gonna take it. I'm sorry if that puts you in any bad position or anything like that, but you know, I wasn't making anything at the park. They had me on for, you know, maybe 20 hours a week, and I was making minimum wage. Like,
yeah.
What can you do? But like I said, I loved my time there. I love that dude. I love all those dudes. So yeah, I get that call, move to Atlanta with my girlfriend at the time. The park doesn't happen for probably 6 months
Really?
after I move up there. Yeah. Just things push back, whatever. You know, it was a giant job. Like,
Yeah, 2 full-size cables.
yeah,
I mean, it was a
delays
lot.
happen. Like, they were digging the ponds, and something would come up. They'd have to deal with permitting or whatever it was, and things just got pushed back. So I worked for Blake Bishop's dad, Brandon, at the car shop that they own, Classic Collision. They have a bunch of locations throughout Atlanta. I worked at the Marietta location, which the job was fine, but dude, commuting there, if I had to do that every day of my life, I would fucking blow my brains out. Like it was 8 miles door to door from my house to the shop, and it would take me an hour and a half
No
to
way.
get there. Oh my God, dude, there's too many fucking people in Atlanta.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it would be an hour and a half drive there in the morning, hour and a half drive in the evening. And I did that for however long I did it before the Terminus job came through. And I thank him every day for the opportunity just to get me by.
Yeah.
But man, that shit sucked. And I was doing like quality control thing, like the body guys would get done with the car and they'd bring it up to me to check it, and I'd be like, okay, you fucked that up, go fix it,
Yeah.
kind of thing before the customer gets here. So that's what I was doing. And actually after Terminus, he gave me a job doing basically the same thing at the Kennesaw location, so it was a lot closer, and I ended up getting promoted a few times there before I got let go for reasons. Reasons out of my control. They just weren't making enough money to justify my position at that point. So
okay,
whatever.
So let's talk about Terminus though. So you said you were managers. That was kind of your role. That was getting.
I was the operations manager. Yes.
Okay. So what does that entail at Terminus?
Basically, the mechanic. So yeah, I mean, we had two full size cables, as you know, and the 2.0 for the beginner side for kids to get up and stuff. So yeah, my job was to come in, do the maintenance on both systems, make sure the systems are running, make sure everything's good with them, train new hires to operate the cable, keep an eye on those people while they're operating, because people are really bad at operating a cable. You know, I know, you know,
yeah.
Like it just is what it is, man. Like people just get very complacent sitting there. But you know, when you're sitting there pushing a button for 7-8 hours, you're bound to get a little like off about it.
Call it cable brain.
Yeah. But yeah, we started just having people working like maybe 2-hour shifts on the cable to keep them fresh and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, that was my main responsibility, was keep the cable running.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so how long were you there for?
I was there, let's see, I graduated in 2012, went to Valdosta in 2013. So it must have been like 2014 that I moved to Atlanta, and then Terminus didn't get going until 15.
Okay.
Nah, wait. That sounds wrong. I might have, I got my years mixed up, but
24. I mean, it had to be before 2015.
yeah, it was definitely before that. Mate, push that back a year.
2014?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Or maybe it was the end of 2013. I can't remember.
But it was getting pushed around, and so
Exactly.
a little bit fuzzy. But
Yeah.
how long do you think you were there as the manager?
I was in Atlanta for 5 years, and I was working at Terminus for 3.5.
Okay, so quite a bit of time.
Yeah,
spent
yeah,
there.
decent amount of time.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, I loved it. I loved being at the park every day. I taught so many kids how to ride and stuff. Kids that I'm like seeing blow up these days, like Little Rivers. Like, she was a little nothing when I first met her, and some other kids that are just killing it, and it's so awesome to see. But yeah, I mean, the park was great. Everything was great. Me and Chase just didn't really see eye to eye as far as where we saw the park going and what we wanted to do at the park. And every year it was just like, oh, you're going to get a raise next year. You'll get a raise next year. And I just never saw it. So at some point I was just like, I can't do this anymore,
Not
man.
a future here for me anymore.
Yeah. Like I was living in a house with like 3 other dudes, and just, I didn't want to have that many roommates for the rest of my life. And just wasn't making any money.
Yeah.
You know, I was just struggling every day, and it's like, I just don't want to do this anymore. So
That's fair.
yeah.
So, I mean, 3.5 years is quite a while for being involved in a wake park. I mean, it's in the summers, you know, but people who haven't worked at a cable, it's long days in the hot sun. It's a lot of fun, but it drains you for sure.
Long, very, very long days. Yes. And when something goes wrong, especially when you're the main maintenance guy, they all look at you.
Yeah, and you got to fix it. You got to be the one to get it back on.
And it would get to the point where I'd go up there on my day off to ride, something would break, and hey, since you're here, and it's be like, man, that's not fair.
Yeah, that's a tricky situation, but
yeah. But I also felt so invested in the place, you know, because I was there from day one, screwing the bolts together to put the towers together. So
you did help with the install.
Yes.
Okay. I did not know that.
From day one. Yeah.
Yeah. Sweet.
It was a crew of me, Chase, Adam Silcio, who's this rider from Louisiana, who I lived with, Jesse Darflinger, who was from the Atlanta area, and Chase's brother-in-law named Jeremy Smith, who was a musician actually, played for a band called like Moths to Flames, if you've ever heard of them. But yeah, it was us. It was us five.
Okay.
And we were just out there all day, every day with Sam and Yergi, getting yelled at for messing around too much, for being fucking stupid, for whatever they wanted to yell at us about that day. Mainly Yergi. He was great. I love that guy. He was awesome. But man, dude, when he got mad, he got mad.
Any interesting close calls with the install? Because I feel like there's no perfect cable install. I just can't imagine that there is one out there. I'm sure people who've installed a lot of cables. Josh Potter comes to mind. He's installed a ton. Mike Olson probably. Maybe there's been some perfect ones. Maybe in Germany, but I
More than likely in Germany.
More than likely in Germany where they do it textbook. But were there any close calls with anything?
There was nothing that I recall that I would have been like, oh man, that could have been really, really bad.
Yeah.
We definitely had some obstacles, just like little stuff, like, oh, that's not working. How are we going to do this kind of thing? Nothing major that really sticks out. But I can tell you, I had probably the closest call of my life when after it was all said and done. We were in maybe our second season, and I was doing my thing, greasing the pulleys. One morning, I had the e-stop down. I didn't even have the damn thing on, and I guess it was ultimately my fault because I didn't bring the key with me for the e-stop. But I had told all my other guys that I was going to be there early to do this and that, and my friend Anthony, who worked with us, and he was a great dude. Like, I love that kid. I haven't talked to him in a long time, but he was a great guy. He comes in. I guess he doesn't see me out there on the cables. I'm sitting there on the free hanging pulley, right? Legs through the spools, which is probably a dumb idea, but it's off. No one's here. It's just me. It's fine. But I'm sitting there greasing the pulleys, and next thing I know, I hear that little bit of buzz on the cables.
Ringing,
yeah, like it's getting turned on, and I turn around and I see him at the operator stand, and this, I'm sitting there fully sitting with my legs through the spools, right? And I hear that, I see him, and before I could even get the words out of my mouth to like say stop, like he turns it on and it starts going, and next thing I know, I'm falling free fall down into the water. It was either that or I was losing my legs, Yeah. Like, it was probably the scariest thing I've ever experienced, and all he sees is something just falling into the water from across the lake, and he comes running over. Oh my God, I didn't know you were there. I was like, dude, I told you what I was doing this morning. It's okay. I'm okay. Everything's fine. But what the fuck? Like, it was terrifying.
That is the textbook like scariest situation ever.
Yeah.
When it comes to doing any sort of maintenance on the cable, is you're on it and it starts.
Yeah.
I did hear about that happening in Germany. I'm sure some German listeners are in Europe somewhere. That exact same thing. The guy didn't make it out in time. Legs snapped.
Jesus
alive,
Christ.
But
Still.
Also second thing is falling in the water. If you fall wrong in the water off a tower, you could potentially get knocked out.
Oh yeah.
And if he's on the other side of the lake, it could be a little bit too long to get there. Who knows? It's
if it was shallow enough, could have broken my neck.
Right.
Like when I landed, luckily it was probably 7-8 feet where I was, and I just I don't know how I landed on my back, on my head. I can't remember.
Flopped in.
But I was, came out, it's fine. Phone ruined, all that stuff in my pocket, whatever. Who gives a shit? My legs are still attached.
Yeah.
Thank God.
I'm alive.
But yeah, that was terrifying. It was really, really, really scary.
I bet. I take it you're still riding a lot. Obviously, working the cables hard work, but you're probably riding
As much as I can.
As much as you can.
Yeah.
Was there any thoughts of becoming a sponsored rider or whatever, in the sense of like pursuing it as a career, or did you kind of see?
Well, at that point, I had already been a sponsored rider for a couple different companies. When I was at Lake Martin when I was younger, I was, I got picked up by CWB first. And when I say picked up, they sent me a couple boards.
Yeah.
Like, I filmed my little sponsor me tape and all this shit, and I send it out to whoever would look at it. I think I had Zane's email and whoever was at Liquid Force and whoever was at Ronix. And Zane was the only one that hit me back and was just like, man, this is awesome. Was that a switch toe side, backside 3 that I saw? And I was like, yes. I only ever did it once on camera, and I was so hyped, and I was like, fuck it, throw it in there, man. And that's what kind of sold him on giving me a board, was that switch toe back 3. Hey. And yeah, I was like, I'll take it, dude. And he gave me a Marius, which to this day is probably still my favorite board.
Really?
Oh my God, dude. Yeah, Trevor Hansen's Marius, that big ass wide thing. I love that board. And then the Gabe Lucas Vibe, I think is what it was called for the rails and stuff. So super fun. Did that for a little while, and then I worked at a shop on Lake Martin, and they wanted to flow me boards through them, but they wanted me on Liquid Force. So I did that for a little while, and then went to Orlando one time, met up with Brett Hargrave, if you know him, R.I.P. Brett. He was a really good dude. But he was working for Ronix and gave me some boards, and I rode the Ronix stuff for a few years after that. And the Phoenix Project, I freaking loved that board. So they really knocked out of the park with that one. And then I got on with Slingshot through Jason Hammonds.
So you did the whole tour. I mean, you did pretty much everyone but Hyperlight is the main companies there. So
pretty much.
So these are all you're getting flowed product, right? And boards.
Yeah.
Nothing.
No contracts, no money, nothing like that. I mean, I would go compete at your local grassroots contests. We actually had some that Alex's dad arranged called the No Worries Tour, which was a lot of fun. But yeah, we would go to like spring to summer up in Guntersville, and that's more of a party than a actual contest. But that was so much fun. I never rode in a pro wake contest, like pro wakeboard tour or anything like that.
So was Slingshot the same time as Terminus here? Around that time?
Yeah, around that time.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember going up to the Atlanta Boat Show. I think it was the season before Terminus happened, talking with Jason, and he was just like, yeah, man, we get you some boards. So I've been riding their stuff ever since, and
Sweet.
Slingshot's the best. So
there you go. But you're not in the thoughts of like being a pro rider or anything?
When I was riding at Terminus all the time, I was definitely like trying to be something along those lines.
Yeah,
yes.
definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, you're filming a lot,
riding a lot, trying to do new tricks. That was when doubles were really popping off, and I was like, I gotta fucking do that. And that's how I ended up blowing my knee the first time, was off a double, but landed it, rode away.
Really?
So, yeah.
Oh,
yeah. It was during Points Chase in 2015. Points Chase, we had National Points Chase Championship that year, and I was riding, and it was my last trick of the run. Landed it, kind of squirreled out a little bit. I don't know when the actual ligament snapped, but something felt wrong as I was going around the first turn. Just feeling my knee, it felt real rubbery, wiggly, and I was like, "This isn't right," And I dropped the handle, take my board off, and like almost can't walk. Like start to put a little weight on it, and just kind of gives out on me. And I'm just like, oh, shit.
not a ton of pain, though?
No, really.
That's so weird.
Really
some
no
people,
pain.
a ton of pain. Some people, no pain.
Yeah, that's what I remember when Cole did his. I think it was during Triple Crown. He did like a method back 180 and landed and's just screaming in the water with pain, And so when it happened to me, I was like, there's no way I just tore my ACL. It doesn't hurt at all. I just like thought I jammed my knee or something like that. And nope, gone.
Bummer.
Yeah.
So I guess what year was that you tore your ACL?
That was 2015.
Okay. I do have kind of a random question. You know the film Seasons on YouTube?
Yeah.
Were you part of that at all?
Was I part of Seasons? I don't think I was in Seasons. I was in, because these are the SMG videos. Yep. There were 3 of them, and Seasons was the 3rd one, I think. I would have been involved in the 2 beforehand. I don't think I was in the 3rd.
Was the first one a single day, or what was it? What were they called?
Yeah, a single day, and what is the second one called?
I'll put them all in here.
Yeah, I don't remember off the top of my head, but I remember getting clips on a Ronix board at this little cut of water we had by Alex's house, because the day we were filming, it was so blown out. So the only spot we had was this little tiny spot to ride that you get like 3 tricks and have to stop. But I mean, they had the helicopter out and everything, so it was sick.
It's crazy. So that was Singleton Marine Group was what was behind all 3 of those. That's sweet that they did that.
So that was Singleton Marine Group and Chase's production company, Remedy Films, doing that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet.
So yeah, it was that was him and Jamie Graff, who was a OG weight guy from Atlanta, and a couple other dudes that I can't recall off the top of my head, but yeah, it's called Remedy Films.
Okay. Speaking of videos and video series, there's the Sons of the South video series, which is actually pretty good. I really enjoyed watching them.
Oh, that shit's dope.
What was the idea behind that series and kind of who was involved with that?
That was all Alex. Yeah, that was Alex and who filmed that? I want to say Tyler Trant. Yeah, that was their stuff they had going on. I'd come up and help when I could because I mean I was working. Or do you have the year on that?
Oh no, I don't.
Yeah, I mean I was working.
John Dickey was involved. So when was he around?
Yeah, I mean we went and saw Dickey a lot.
Who is John Dickey?
Nobody knows.
Who is John Dickey?
Nobody really truly knows. No, he was this dude that Alex met by going to Tampa. Alex lived in Tampa for a little while and stayed with him. He's from Ohio originally. He was a freaking rail master, at McCormick's. He was one of those dudes everybody knew because he was just out there all day, every day. He freaking killed it. This was the time Chandler Powell was coming up, and he was this little 12-year-old, but they beat the shit out of anybody because he was giant. He was a little gorilla kid. But yeah, we'd go to Tampa all the time. We'd stay at Dickey's house. His mom lived in Ohio. They had that house down there. And his mom was somewhat of a hoarder kind of person. So there was just so much stuff in that house. And, we didn't give a shit because it was a free place to stay. It was fine. And our daily thing was we'd party all night. We'd go get a bagel in the morning from the New York bagel place down the street because it was just the best. And then we'd go to McCormick's all day, and just ride. And it was so much fun. But, yeah, it's really hard to pin down John Dickey. He was an enigma.
Elusive.
Yes, very.
Graydon's kind of elusive too nowadays.
He is these days, yeah. He's he's got the kid, dude. His little daughter Zora is about as
elusive in a good way.
No, it's a good thing.
I think a lot of people are jealous of these elusive types that can just kind of log off and be totally done with all the BS.
Yep. I talk to him every couple weeks, and just to see his daughter grow up more and more through the FaceTime, it's like I want to meet her in person.
Right. Soon enough.
Yeah, I think we're actually getting out there next year. So
there you go.
Hopefully.
Let's. I think it's a good time to dive into photography. So we talked a little bit about you getting the camera, kind of messing around with it a little bit. What is the most frustrating part you find about shooting water sports?
The water.
Explain a little bit more about the water for the non-camera people.
Yeah, it's the biggest obstacle out there. Like you're shooting around water, a sport that's in water. You get hosed with water with your nice electronic camera that could be bad. You know what I mean? And luckily, knock on wood, I've only been doused like never to the point where shit fries.
Really?
Whatever. Yeah, I mean the weather sealing on these cameras nowadays is so great and everything, but I've never dunked my camera fully and submerged or anything like that, thank God. But yeah, I mean honestly, it's the water. Like it's a big obstacle.
Always moving. Yeah,
it's always moving. It's always trying to get you. But yeah, besides that, it's more just scheduling with people. These wakeboarders are. Let's admit it, they're drama queens. They're little prima donnas, so they don't want to get out super duper early. There were a lot that were like hyped to wake up, crack of dawn kind of thing. But you get those riders that are like, oh, I don't want to do that. Blah 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 blah. Like man, especially like when I was working with Alliance, it's like man, this is my assignment. Like this is for your company that you're sponsored by. We got to get this done, kind of thing. And yeah, some people were more grumpy about it than others.
Well, because realistically, as a photographer, you're only shooting in the morning and the night, right?
Yes.
You're never going to shoot during the highlight day.
Yeah, really past, I'd say like 9:30 in the morning.
Okay, so we're talking real early, sunrise to that, or even pre-sunrise to that point.
Yeah, well, especially in the summertime when the sun rises, it sets at 8:18 right now, so it probably rises at like 6:20. So yeah, I mean, you're out there, you're at the person's house at 5:30 in the morning trying to pull them out of bed
Yeah.
to get the boat uncovered and everything ready. And then you got to deal with the humidity from Orlando. You walk outside, all your shit gets fogged up immediately as soon as you bring it out. So you got to wait on that. It's just a lot of obstacles.
Yeah, can't imagine.
Yeah.
So what's the best part then? Kind of contrast that.
The best part is getting a sick fucking photo that everybody's hyped on. Like if I look at it and I'm hyped, what I really want is to be able to show it to you as the rider and then be like, I just want to see their face light up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's what it's really all about, is just showing that rider in his or her best light, you know, whether it's for a specific product or just something that we're trying to get a nice shot for, like the frame section or a cover or whatever. Like, I just want to see them as stoked as I am.
100%.
Yeah. And, you know, I've had plenty of shoots where that does happen and it's awesome, but I've also had plenty of shoots where it's like, I'm super hyped on it. It's like, this is awesome. And I'll show it to them. They're like, yeah, it's all right. We'll run it. And I'm just like, well, what do you want different about it? And they're, you know, sometimes they can't even give me an answer.
Yeah.
And it's just like, all right, well, shit. Should I even bother using it? Oh, yeah, you can use it. It's fine. So that would get a little frustrating where it's just like, just tell me. Like, just talk to me.
If you don't like it, what do you like about it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Fair
And
enough.
it could be anything from like, oh, my arm's a little goofy, or I'm making this stupid face, or something like that.
Well, you were born with that stupid face. So that's
Yeah,
not my
I can't help
problem.
that. No, actually, I posted some old photo of Dylan Miller on my Instagram, like not too long ago.
The dark one? It was-
Yeah.
Yep.
And I was so hyped on it, and we were trying to use. That was back when we were shooting for his cover, and we ended up using that shot by the tree on Lake Minnehaha or Mineola, whichever one that is. And I love that photo, don't get me wrong. But I wanted this like real dark, like coming out of the shadows kind of shot, and I thought we nailed it. And then I give it to Bill, and he's like, yeah, I mean, it's sick, but that is the dumbest face I've ever seen. And I'm just like, oh shit, you're right. So that one got axed pretty hard. So
Gotta have the perfect face, I guess.
and we went and reshot that like probably 3 different times. And after that first go around, I was like, so just really concentrate on what your face is doing.
Forget about the trick. What does your face look like?
Yeah. But we ended up going with that Stalefish 3 he did, lined it up perfectly with one of the cypress trees on the lake. I just thought like all of it, just composition.
It all came together.
Oh yeah, I love that photo.
Speaking of photo and video, there's such a heavy emphasis on video right now specifically.
Yep.
I mean, it's been going towards video for a long time in terms of what people want to see and how people consume stuff. What do you think, this is kind of a deeper one, but what do you think the continued future of photography is?
Man, I just hope it still has a place. You know, like I can shoot a little bit of video here and there, and I definitely want to get into it more. But I've always just loved the single frame, you know, like just working at figuring out one frame that looks really, really sick that people will be hyped on for a long, long time. You know, because these videos they're great. Like a lot of the editors and filmers and writers and people like that out there are doing great jobs, but it just gets looked at and thrown away so quickly. And I guess that's me coming from my, being a little bit of the older generation that had the magazine pop up in the mail every month or two, just like super hyped on getting that fresh magazine and peeling through it and being like, oh man, look at this shot of Murray, look at this shot of Ruck, oh my God, look at this shot of Harf, like this is so sick, like that kind of shit.
Yeah.
And now it's just, honestly, man, they all just kind of feel the same. You know, it's like these video clips that are to the shitty mumble rap that.
Or the trendy TikTok song,
Yeah.
and you're just doom scrolling and looking, and you don't even remember what you saw. I mean,
Exactly.
yeah.
It doesn't hit you. It doesn't stay with you. And that bums me out, you know? And a lot of these writers, you can't take it away from them because they're very talented and they can do these insane tricks that I could never do. But they'll just go out, they'll film the same video over and over and over again, you know?
Yeah.
Like, oh, today I did a Crow 5 and a Heel 9. Oh, well, today I'm going to do a Heel 9, then a Crow 5.
I'm going to put a different song to it.
Wow. And you're just like, all right,
Half of
I
it
saw
is-
that yesterday.
It's part of the job, right? So
It is.
They do have to, you got to do it to stay fresh and stay relevant. You got to shove yourself in front of everyone's faces.
It is, and I hate that. I hate that.
Yeah.
Because if you decrease the quality just because you need the quantity. Like
It all gets watered down.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I just get very jaded to it.
Yeah.
And like I said, you can't take it away from them because they're very, very talented. Like, Corey goes out and does switch toe 10 first try, freaking every try. Like, it's absolutely insane. But, at some point you're going to get used to seeing it.
Yeah.
And you're just like, holy shit, like, do something else. I'd much rather see you do a big old method to blind or some shit like that. That's just, I enjoy that more.
Yeah. I think a lot of people do feel that way. I really struggle with the idea of, you look at other industries, right? And there's still, it's not strong. I wouldn't say it's strong in skateboarding and snowboarding compared to what it used to be, right?
Oh, compared to what it used
Where
to
it was
be,
crazy,
yes.
but it's still very much alive. Like Thrasher magazines still exist. Slush still does magazines. There's still several other print in snowboarding. Surfing still does print. As far as I'm concerned, I don't follow that closely. But wakeboarding, we have one print, Copycats Club, on a regular basis now, and that's it, as far as I'm concerned.
Pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is there a future for it? Is there, Copycats is women's only, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But is there a future for...
I love working with Cena on that stuff, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, I've had a lot of photos that she's used, and she's awesome. So shout out to her. She's fucking great, and everything she's doing is great. And the fact that she does it all pretty much single-handedly is just incredible. But yeah, I mean, I think there's always going to be a space for photos and stuff because you just need them. You can't always have video, especially a nice edited, polished video. But as far as things being printed out and distributed in a tangible way, it's probably not going to be that much longer. Like, I don't know. It's hard to say. I never want to see it go away because I love the being able to hold something in my hands like that. But yeah, I mean, it's when the companies stop seeing the value in it because that's where the money's coming from.
Yeah.
You can't do something like that on your own, or at least not in a sustainable way where you're funding it all the time or anything like that.
Yeah, I think, and I don't know if you agree with this or not, but I think the answer would be at least to try dropping the frequency way down. So maybe 1 or 2 a year, but they're pretty thick lookbook style. Like I think Stefan did one a couple of years ago or maybe a year ago with a bunch of old photos.
That was just him like going through
and
his
that
hard
was just
drive,
him.
and that was sick.
But I think that is a little bit more compelling, at least nowadays, since the monthly magazine is no longer, definitely not going to be a thing anymore. But if you could do 1 or 2 a year and get all the brands together and have some exclusive interviews or something and some crazy photos that you haven't seen before, maybe that would be the future, hopefully.
No, I agree with that, and I like the idea of that. It's getting the people with the money to agree to that.
Yeah.
Because,
to see the importance of it.
Yeah, because that's such a slow burn for them. You know what I mean? Like, rather than, because everybody wants it now. That's what Instagram has programmed us to do. It's like, I want that shit now. Why can't I have it now? And to get somebody with, with some company that has enough money to do something like that, you have to show them the value in it.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, well, this is 6 months down the road. We can't wait that long.
I want to do my paid ad on Facebook and see the return immediately.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But that's just the world we live in.
Some things are bigger than sports, and the print mag, I think, it's bigger than, wakeboarding and snowboarding and skating. I think it'll always have a place, and I think we need to find how that works somehow.
I agree.
It's not up to me, but I think the people with the money, it would be great.
To the faceless, nameless they
The
out
suits.
there.
It's up to the
Yeah.
suits.
Oh yeah, because we got a lot of those in wakeboarding.
Not the board short suits is what I'm talking about.
Yep.
You were talking. Who's the hardest rider to get out of bed in the morning? You're touching on that a little bit.
Oh man. Probably an Australian kid somewhere.
Yeah.
Louis Watt was always fun to mess around with. When he started living with Jeff Langley, it was easier because Langley was, he was about it.
Get your ass out of bed.
Yeah, he was about. I mean, he was pops, like he was about it. He was getting you up and you were going, kind of thing. But yeah, Louis was always a fun one to just try to mess with and get up. I want to say Mossy was he gets a little grumpy in the morning, but once he shakes it off,
Give him an espresso or something.
Yeah.
He'll be
Once
all right.
give him an espresso and a piece of pizza, and he's great. Once he's up and going, he's
got some energy.
He's so much fun to be around. Yeah. But I'll go with an Australian kid.
Okay, let's dive in a little bit more serious of what you do for a living now, is it mainly photography?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's got to be, I don't want to use the word stressful, but is it tough to have consistent work?
So actually, I don't do freelance full time anymore.
Okay.
I started working with Glass Pro Inc. In March, actually into February this year. They own Phase 5 Wake Surf and Zap Skimboards. So I work with those guys full time, and it's been great. Phase 5, there's always stuff going on, like with the riders around. And people love wake surfing, man. People love wake surfing. So, I mean, most of the riders are in town. I just got back from a product shoot up in Minnesota with the Bank family and a couple other riders up there, which was super fun. And then, I've got the skimboard side of things, which I really didn't know shit about going into it. I knew it was a thing, but I didn't know people loved it as much as they do.
We're talking real skim, like throw
like,
your board down, jump on it.
Throw your board down, jump on it. Slash, all that shit. People love that shit, dude. It's crazy.
I've never done it. It looks fun.
I did it once when I was maybe 8 years old.
Yeah.
You know, like I think that was my first board sport experience ever. I was at my I was with my family in like Fort Myers or Fort Lauderdale, and we buy this shitty little skimboard that has this little tiki guy on it, you know, just like Walmart special kind of thing.
Yeah.
I actually still have it. It's in a corner of my house right now. But yeah, I mean, people love it, dude. Like some of our athletes just went out to California for this contest called the TAC Skim Blast, put on by TAC Apparel in Santa Cruz, and there's money behind this stuff, and people love it.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
it's cool to get into a new sport, meet the people,
but
see
still
how
similar.
Yeah, it's still similar. I mean, it's a water sport, you know, so
Yeah.
it's got the similarities. But to meet the people that are passionate about that, and I'm going to a contest in Delaware, Dewey Beach, Delaware, in like 2 weeks. It's supposed to be like the biggest contest of the season, so looking forward to seeing how it all goes, because that'll be my first real event experience.
Yeah.
But done some photo shoots with the guys and girls, and they just eat the shit up, man. And it's like shooting surfing, but much closer to the shore, so it's a lot easier.
Well, you can kind of move around too, I'd imagine.
Exactly.
Talk about accessibility too, man. That's like got to be one of the most accessible board sports out there, even more accessible than skating, because all you need is
definitely.
I mean, if you're by water, obviously.
If you're in the right area, yeah.
But
Yeah.
if you are, so
Yeah.
before that, were you freelance for a while?
Yeah, it was. So I was working with Alliance when I moved down to Orlando, and like I said, I got let go in 2020 because of COVID stuff. And yeah, I was just doing really whatever I could to make ends meet. Just whatever jobs I could pick up. A lot of it was in the wake industry, just because those were the contacts I had, those were the people I knew. But yeah, there'd be the occasional job of headshots for this business over here, corporate event happening over here, take some photos there, things like that. So nothing that I was really interested in, but they had a check. So why the hell would I not go?
Yeah.
You know, and it's not like I didn't feel like I was sullying my brand or any stupid thing like that. It's just like, man, I just got to make some money, because me and my now wife, Victoria, we were living together. She was my girlfriend at the time, and I got to pay rent. So who gives a shit?
Yeah. Hey, gotta.
And this is when, the governor was like, oh, well, lockdown, nobody's hiring. It was madhouse. Like, it was crazy. Yeah, all the quarantine shit, and everybody's scared of COVID and going outside. And if you coughed while you're walking in the grocery store, you're like, you're like the worst
looks,
guy ever.
Crazy times.
It was crazy, dude. Yeah, I'm walking out with my 20 packs of toilet paper, like, God, am I the asshole here? No.
Someone with 3 carts full.
No, luckily I never went down that crazy rabbit hole. So.
Hashtag bidet gang.
Oh, yeah, man. It's great. I got one. It's amazing.
Let's talk about Alliance. Seems like a good time.
Okay.
How did that opportunity come about? How'd that happen?
That came about, actually, I believe it was Alex who hit me up, because he was out in California with Bill for some contest. I think he was helping out judging like a Triple Crown that was at VIP or something
Alex
like that.
Graydon and Bill McCaffrey.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And if you don't know, Bill's he runs Alliance, basically, for all you kids who never don't know what a magazine is. But yeah, they were talking, and Bill had mentioned like, hey, I think this was right after like Bradley Rutledge had parted ways with them, and they were looking for somebody to fill that gap. And Alex threw my name out there. So he hit me up saying, hey, I did this. Thought you'd be interested. If you are, hit him up. Here's his number, basically, or here's his email, whatever it was. So I did. Sent him an email like, hey, my name's Jeff Mathis. I've been doing photography for this long. I've been in the wake scene for this long. Alex told me about the editor position that's open. What's up, basically? You know, I said it a little bit more professionally than that, but that's basically what it was. And after a couple phone interviews with him and Corey Murata, and I want to say Steve Riley, their designer guy, was on him too. It was probably just Bill and Corey. I really can't remember, honestly. After a few phone interviews, they're like, all right, when can you move to Orlando? And that was 2017, I believe. And yeah, I moved down there in like November. Had a girlfriend at the time, left her because I didn't want her to come to Orlando with me for many reasons that we won't talk about. And yeah, I started my first job with them, or my first assignment with them was shooting Gunther and Megan. This was like kind of a test assignment, actually. This was before I moved down there. He was like, all right, go down there, shoot with Gunther and Megan, and we'll just kind of see how you do, basically. And I did, and it was fun, and they liked it, so they gave me the job.
Was that your first time meeting Gunther and Megan?
I want to say so. Maybe first time actually spending time with them.
Okay.
Yes. I had maybe met them through probably when they came through for like Triple Crown at Terminus and stuff when I was running that place. Yeah. Just hey, what's up? Kind of thing, but nothing too deep. But yeah, I mean, they were more than welcoming, and were stoked to get some shots and everything. And
awesome.
It was a lot of fun. That was when Gunther was we were shooting on Jessamine, and I guess he was still living at Corey Tunison's old house on Jessamine.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember shooting behind Megan's G23 at the time, and we had some pontoon boat that we were using as chase, or like some deck boat. It was fun.
Sounds like a good time.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
So you said your role is editor. What does that mean?
That means write the whole fucking magazine is what it means. Like, I really don't know how else to sugarcoat it, man. Like, come up with the ideas, execute the ideas, and get them in time, get them on a deadline, which I could never adhere to, because there was, people in the wake industry, they like to kind of do things on their own time. And, hey, man, have you answered those interview questions yet? Oh, I'll get around to it eventually. Okay, I kind of needed those like a week ago. Like, you're the cover and the...
Got a full spread here.
Yeah, like, help me out, man. Like, so I ended up just, rather than sending people questions, I would just go have conversations with them, record it, and then just transcribe it, kind of thing. But yeah, that's basically what it turned into, was run the Instagram, update the website, write the magazine, get photos, work with photographers, work with athletes, make sure people are getting paid on time, and probably a plethora of other things.
Okay.
That was too much for one person.
I mean, it sounds like a lot as is. So was it just you in Orlando that was working with the Lions, or do you have anyone with you that was helping?
Cole Vanthoff.
So you and Cole was he an editor as well? I mean,
no, he's the media guy, filmer guy, editor, video editor in that regard. And yeah, I mean, that was what we did. We were just kind of like a tag team. We'd go out with some athletes, unless we were just shooting photos. I mean, he was with me, or unless he had need to edit something or whatever he was doing that day. Yeah, we'd go out, we'd shoot with the athletes. He'd get what he needed, I'd get what I need, and we'd go back to our houses and edit our stuff.
Sweet. So it sounds like it was primarily you two were doing all the content.
Basically.
Okay. Sweet.
And I mean, we'd have things that, I get emails and DMs from people all the time, like, hey, I got this video link, check it out. Please put it on the website, this, that, things like that. Yeah. So I would rely on people like that for stuff. But yeah, photographer-wise, I mean, I worked with Tyler Soden a decent amount. Jay Holly was in there from the UK. A bunch of other people. But yeah, getting them paid was the...
I was going to say, how's that work?
Ooh, buddy, it didn't work. No, like, I'd go through each magazine, before print, and be like, okay, we've got a half page shot by Tyler, got a full page by this photographer, got quarter page, and I just tally up all the photographers, make sure they get all credits in there. Rod was somebody I worked with a lot too, who's like one of the coolest fucking dudes out there. You should do one.
Oh
with
yeah,
him. Yeah. He's a solid dude. He would have some stories. But yeah, just tally up everything and send that to Bill. Be like, hey, you owe him 200, you owe him 400, whatever it may be, and just that was kind of the end of my part in that. And when they didn't get their check 6 months later, they're calling me, hey, what the fuck? Why haven't I gotten my check yet? And I'm like, hey, Bill, what's going on with this? I'll submit it today. Another couple months goes by. Hey, I still haven't gotten that check yet. And I'm just like,
you're being a middleman.
Exactly.
You have nothing to do with any of this.
Exactly.
Much.
It was very frustrating.
Yeah.
Because I never wanted to be the guy where it's like, man, you did all this work for us, but sorry you haven't gotten paid yet. Sorry. Like, how do I remedy that? I have to go to my boss and be like, hey, man, we need to pay this guy. And he's like, oh, we're waiting on payment from this company or whatever the reason might be.
Yeah.
And, that was all beyond me, so I'm not even going to act like I know anything about it. But, yeah, all I knew was these photographers and people that we're working with are not getting paid. Nobody's going to work with us if they're not going to get paid. End of story.
Yeah.
So honestly, by the end of my run at Alliance, I felt like I was writing the whole magazine. Whether it was, unless it was an interview with a writer and they'd have some text in there, but, like the In Focus page and all these other pages that need to be written just to have content in the magazine, I was coming up with.
Doing it all.
Yeah.
It's a lot. Why did it end? I mean, it sounds like it was around COVID, but, what was the...
I'm just going to chalk it up to that. COVID, a bunch of advertisers pulled out, money that we had coming in wasn't coming in anymore.
Yeah.
And, like we were talking about earlier, like print is slowly, if not quickly, being fizzled out. So that was, my head was the first on the chopping block.
Yeah.
Because Cole's video guy, video was everything. Yeah. it was me.
Cut and dry.
So, yeah.
Probably kind of bummed, I'd imagine. It sounds like it was a lot of work and frustrating, but was it kind of a bummer that that ride came to an end, or?
Yeah, I loved the job.
Yeah.
Being around the riders and getting to go out, not only getting to shoot with these people and getting to be friends with these people, but just getting to watch them and see like their process. Like if we're shooting some crazy setup or whatever, just see them go through it and just be like, this is sick, man. Like this is cool.
Yeah.
I loved doing it. So it was definitely a bummer when it all came crashing down. But that's just what happened.
It's life.
Yeah, I mean, who knew some guy in China would eat a bat, and we're all wearing we're all wearing freaking masks and hoarding toilet paper. Who knew that was going to happen? Did you see that shit coming? I didn't see it coming.
I did not see that coming. I would have picked my stocks wisely that I was buying if I did.
Right?
The Trail of Tears tour. So this was, I believe, I should have started with this, but is this the same time you took that job at Alliance?
The Trail of Tears tour?
Yeah. I think in 2017, you had what I have here is you had a day off from your job. You went to shoot with the Coalition boys.
Oh, is that what we're calling it?
That's what it was called.
Who called it that?
I think you called it that.
No, I didn't call it that.
I think you wrote an article on Alliance about your Trail of Tears tour.
Maybe I did. I don't recall.
That wasn't pulled from me. So.
Oh my god!
But
did Quinn say that?
Somebody, I don't know who said
I think it was probably Quinn. Yes, that was fun. That was so much fun because we got my first cover of Alliance was from that trip, and that was of Quinn doing that massive wall ride down that waterfall drop. What basically happened was, I'd been going through the phone interviews with Bill for Alliance, and he pretty much told me I was locked in on the job, and I couldn't move down there for maybe 2 months, 2 or 3 months, something like that, because of my lease and just tying up loose ends and stuff like that. I was working at a power sports place called Kennesaw Mountain Motorsports. It was like right down the street from my house. Job was fine. The people I worked with fucking sucked. It was mainly the sales managers, like the biggest dick I've ever worked with, in my life. He was just a jerk, and he just tried to make everything as complicated as possible. He was just a big old jerk. So that's truly the only job I've ever just quit and been like,
Yeah.
you know, like, and just didn't show up. And,
out.
I get the call from Quinn. He's like, hey man, we're going to be winching all this stuff in Georgia. I want you to come out for at least some of it. And so I did. And it was awesome. Like, I got that cover shot of him. I got some sick ones of Wes Huber. Blake Bishop was there. Actually, Mahalia was there too, taking photos. And Terry was there. He did like some crazy big waterfall drop. Wes was there. Yeah, I mean, it was all those guys.
Yeah.
You know, and we just winched and hit whatever they could find, and I was just there to take the picture.
Document it.
Yeah, it was so much fun. But yeah, it was funny how that all worked out, because I was just I was not loving that job, and the Alliance thing came through like kind of at the right time, and it really lit a fire under me to be like, all right, let's do this shit.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm sure through your time at Alliance, you probably made countless relationships that I'm sure helped you get to where you are today.
Oh, definitely.
So
Definitely.
whether or not the job worked out, you always learn along the way. And,
Yeah.
and good stuff.
It was a fun chapter for sure.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it.
We were just talking about that, shooting riders, and you're shooting with the Coalition boys, and you're a rider yourself and a photographer. So explain the advantages of being a rider and a photographer.
You can picture it a lot easier, given, you can have somebody come in with the most technical expertise of a camera, and they'll know how to set up the light and all this stuff for everything. That's great. But if they've never seen the sport, they don't know what the fuck they're going to shoot. They don't know what looks good. They don't know at what point in the trick you pull the trigger, kind of thing. So yeah, I thought being a rider, knowing how these tricks look, how I want them to look, how, other riders want them to look, I feel like I had a pretty good grasp on that. And it made talking with the athlete and figuring out what they wanted a lot easier.
A lot more efficient.
Exactly. A lot more efficient. Yeah.
So let's talk about, you shot one of the best shots probably ever wakeboarding. Alex Graydon, his flip on the bridge for his X Games part.
That shit was scary, man.
Walk through that.
Buddy, that shit was so scary. Yeah. When he first told me that's what he wanted to do, I was like, what? Like, that's insane. You're insane. He originally wanted it to be a tantrum because that's just the way it made sense in his head. He comes in, tantrum, board, whatever, and right away. And after we did that a few times, he was shooting with Joey Arches for his X Games part, and I was lucky enough to be, I took some photos for that and also got to drive ski and things like that just to help out any way I could.
Involved. Yeah,
and I mean, some of my favorite photos to date were from all of that. And so the day we got that cover shot, it was the end of the original Bra Fest on Lake Martin, and it was me, Alex, Clint that I mentioned earlier, and Cole there filming. I'm pretty sure, Rick must have been there. His dad must have been there pulling him. But yeah, he went for the tantrum. Didn't work. He's like, okay, fuck it. I'm gonna do a back roll. All right. I mean, that sounds like it'll be good. Let's try. You're gonna try to nose grab it? What if you pinch your fingers off? Like, what's gonna happen here? Like, I'll just shoot for the end of it, kind of thing. It's like, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
You're operating within like a 2-foot area that you need to hit, but sweet.
Honestly, dude, it was crazy. So I mean, he went up, back roll in mind, does it like first try, gets a little tap on it, and I'm just sitting there like, what the fuck, dude? That was crazy. And so then it turns into my job to be like, all right, get it at the right time.
Yeah.
Which was extremely difficult because I mean it was just very quick. It was very quick, and I'm rocking on the chase boat and all this stuff. And we're just sitting there, but yeah, I mean the waves would come by and I'm rocking, and it was just a lot going on. He probably did it 10 times.
That's it.
I thought that was a lot.
I mean, I guess it is a lot. It is a lot to try it, but I'm just thinking to get perfect contact. And make it look good. He got
the contact after he got that first one. He got the contact pretty much every time.
Okay.
It was just, did he have the grab? Was it placed well? And even so, in the final image, like his hand is a little bit on the corner of the nose,
corner pocket.
Yeah, and it's just like, He'd go up, grab full nose. You can look back at the video. He'd go up, grab full nose, like easy. He'd hit the concrete, and it would just slide his hand.
Yeah.
You know, like, what are you going to do? So I was just, like, trying to get that photo, get it right. And, yeah, it probably took, like, 10 to 12 tries.
Such a good photo.
But he was getting it every time after that first go. And he was just, oh, no, this is easy. And I was like, all right, dude. It's, like, one of the most gnarly things anybody's done. But, yeah, sure, it's easy, whatever. Yeah, when it was all said and done, it was actually that was before I had inked my deal with Alliance.
Yeah.
So I sent it to Garrett, who was working at Wakeboarding Mag at the time. He wanted to use it as a cover, and I was like, okay, yeah, sure. And then after, you know, I go through the stuff, and they're like, oh, you get the Alliance job, and I was like, hey, buddy, I need that back.
Sorry about that.
But yeah, I mean, it was a fold out and everything. Like, it shit was sick, man.
How many covers do you have?
At least 10.
Really?
Something like that, yeah. 10 to 12.
Yeah.
I could try to go through them real quick. Yeah, I got that one with Quinn, Alex, Corey, Louie, Gunther, which was one of my favorites under the Cincinnati Reds baseball stadium when we did that winch trip with them. Terry at Yard Sale.
Yep.
Did I say Corey?
Yep.
Yeah. There were, the one with Dylan, Miller, Blake Bishop doing a winch thing, a couple other guys.
Yeah. I mean, I know you had quite a few. I was just definitely a lot.
Well, I know my mother has at least 9 of them hung up in our lake house, and I want to say there's a couple more.
Okay. Yeah, 10, 12. It's a lot. It's impressive.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
As far as shooting goes, any close calls? Obviously, you're in the water a bit. In Florida, there's some creatures in the water. Any close calls with snakes, gators, boat getting too close, rider getting too close?
Never with any snakes or gators, actually, which is pretty surprising because, I mean, we'll go out there, you know, crack of dawn, and you'll see them. Like, they'll be out there. But I've never had one get close to me or that I'm aware he's close to me. You know, he might be cruising under me. Who knows? But they're out there. I mean, it's just part of the game. You go in the ocean, there's sharks. Yeah, like, it just is what it is. So I just try to put out of my mind when I'm floating as the boat's coming back and forth. Probably closest call I ever had as far as ruining my camera was shooting with Coco Mendez. Wake skater dude. I mean, everybody should know him because he's incredible. He was doing wake-to-wake kickflips, and Bob Sovin was driving the ski, and we were in between the rider and the boat with the ski, right? And I had like my fisheye or super wide angle on. I can't remember. I want to say it was my fisheye, and he was doing kickflips wake-to-wake, and the photo I got was sick. I love that photo, but he fell, I believe, and the boat stopped, and Bob didn't stop. So he peeled off to the right over that huge whitewash, and next thing I know, jet skis tumbling over. You know, we're both getting thrown off, and somehow I just keep my arm high enough. It's fine, you know, like water's there to there. It was fine, but I was just like, Bob, what the fuck? And you know anything about Bob? I mean, he's wild, dude. He's one of my favorite people out there. He was awesome, but yeah, he just wasn't paying attention, I guess.
Following Bob Sovin. We'll have to get him in here. That'd be a great one.
Oh my God, dude. He's one of the funniest people. Like when we did that the wake scootering video and stuff for Alliance, and he was doing that. That's what made that video, was his commentary.
Yeah,
the whole time.
Some good banter.
Just talking shit the entire time. And Parks was cruising through on the e-foil, and he'd come by. He's like, Parks, let me get a word. Quick, what do you think about it? And he'd just cruise by. He's like, all right, maybe next time. It's just the funniest shit, man.
He's a funny guy.
Yeah.
You were talking about Rod earlier, but what are some big water sports photographers that you've looked up to, love working with?
Rod, definitely, because he'll just give you any bit of knowledge that you ask for. I mean, the guy has done it, seen it all, you know, so he's just a wealth of information, and not to mention just like one of the coolest dudes.
Yeah.
Joey Meddock was also a really, really good one. Because, you know, when Wake Journal was happening, you know, I was just trying to get my shit out there for anybody to see, and he gave me a little bit of a platform to do so. Whether actually, got some riding shots in there too of me riding, so that was cool. But yeah, I mean, I'd send him stuff every week or two that I could, and he'd throw it in there, and I was just like, man, I'm just hyped to see shit that I've done out
see the
there.
light of day.
Yeah, and the Wake Journal thing was cool, man. It was a lot. I can only imagine how much that was, because I mean, it was like a weekly thing or whatever. Like it was a lot. And then I remember I'd never actually met him before. I'd just spoken with him through email and stuff. And I went to the WSIA thing out in Colorado at one of the mountain resorts and met him in person. And I didn't really know who I was going to be there. I wasn't like super homies with anybody that was out there. So I was just going to go snowboard by myself that day. And I'm walking out to the hill, and I see him, and I'm just like, oh shit, that's Joey Maddock. I'm going to say hi. And say hi. It ends up being his birthday. He's going riding with a lot of people. So, you want to come with? Fuck yeah, I want to come with. Like, let's go. So that was a lot of fun. Yeah, super, super cool guy.
He goes way back too. He's got a lot of photos.
Back. Yep. And Garrett's just awesome. He's always been a super nice guy to me.
Yeah. Yeah. What would you say to someone who says, we were talking about this earlier, I have an iPhone. Can I just basically do what you do?
Yes, you can. You totally can. No, I mean, it's such a funny thing that people don't understand. They can't wrap their mind around it. They're like, well, you just press a button. That's all you do. It's like, it's a little bit more technical than that. I'm not going to put myself up on a pedestal and be like, oh, what I do is so difficult and all this shit. I mean, anybody can do it. You get a camera and you figure it out. Anybody can technically do it. But it's so much more than just like, got it.
Yeah.
Like, it just is.
Like
if it wasn't, they wouldn't keep making them.
That's a good point. That's a great point.
And I mean, yes, the iPhones these days are insane. So the videos in the iPhones, like, it's crazy. You could make a full legit edit with the video, I would say, from an iPhone.
Yeah, for sure.
And people have done it. I mean, you can obviously tell it's an iPhone, but, you get that out of your mind. You're so used to seeing it anyways. But, yeah, it's funny because I've actually had somebody at jobs, like not wake stuff, but like at a wedding I was shooting, just like, why are we paying him so much? All he does is push a button, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like,
you take the camera.
Yeah, all right, okay. All right.
Oh, man.
And then after the fact, they love the photos. You know what I mean?
course
Oh, my
they
God,
do.
you did such a
killed
great
it.
job. Oh, my God. Like, yeah.
Would you rather shoot at, kind of touch on this, would you rather shoot at 1 p.m. with the best crew or at sunrise with the worst crew?
Define worst.
Just late, unhappy, grabs Tindy.
Oh, okay. So that's the deal breaker right there.
Okay.
It doesn't matter how good the light is, man. If you're zeeching your grabs and everything looks like shit, those photos aren't going to be great.
They're not going to be usable.
So. And I can go out at 1 p.m., bring all my flashes out, and make it look decent, and get like a shot of, I don't know, Harley doing something huge that looks amazing.
Yeah.
And
make it happen.
I can make that look better than the best, crispiest sunlight or sunrise, like shit with shitty grabs and stuff.
The answer I like to hear. What do you think is the best thing going on in wake right now? You've been in wakeboarding for a while, been involved in the scene, behind the scenes, a rider, photographer. What do you see as the coolest, best thing going on, thing that gets you the most excited right now?
The Copycats Club stuff I get super hyped about because, I mean, it's just awesome. Like I was saying earlier, Cena takes it on herself to make all these girls look good, and they're all really excited to work with her, and they actually want to get out and shoot stuff, because I've shot a bunch of stuff with the girls down here, and they're hyped to get out there. Like girls like Tara and Beck and Kinsey and Jamie, other people like that, and yeah, they're super excited about it, and I just love that, when people are excited to get out there and do it. That's what it's all about. The La Familia guys are insane. Like they're a rowdy group of kids that are just kind of doing whatever the hell they want. And they all look so different on the water, and they all look so good. Whether you're watching Sam do some crazy Gumby shit where it's like, how did he grab that and then turn into a Mob 5 kind of thing? Ulf and Kai both of those kids are insane. I just saw them at the Pro Wakeboard Tour, and Kai was doing, the wake-to-wake back nines and just like stomping them, and he did a wake-to-wake switch 10 that was really low.
So low.
It was so low, but he got it around. And I was in the boat when that happened, and we were all just kind of looking at each other like, how the fuck did he do that?
Well, the thing is, if you can do the wake-to-wake 10 that low, where's the 14 at?
Right?
We'll have to play the movie, probably.
Probably at some point.
It's got
but then you got his brother, Kai, who's doing he just won the Wake Fest thing, right? By doing just everything. He's like Randall. Everything's out in the flats. Everything's super powerful. And it's just like, my God, dude, how are you going to walk in a few years?
We don't worry about that.
We don't worry about that. But yeah, then Ty and Massey and all those guys.
That's a good point.
You can't say enough about what they're doing right now.
Yeah.
Insane.
That's a good point you brought up about all them looking different on the water. I think that's part of the reason their edits are so entertaining.
Yeah.
To me, at least, because you got
and
like you just
Luca
explained.
too.
Yeah, Luca. They're all in their own unique way doing crazy good wakeboarding, and then Daniel just makes it look all great in the edit.
He really does. He really does. Like when I first moved down and started working with Alliance, he was like just starting into that kind of stuff. He was actually still riding, and he'd come out and I'd get some photos of him, and he was a good rider.
Yeah,
he had a lot of style and stuff, but yeah, his vision and editing and filming and everything is just really.
His vision's amazing.
It's just leveled up.
He's using different formats, and it's just so awesome to see how he's putting it together.
Then they got the Harris twins who do all the crazy rail stuff, and between even being identical twins, they have such different style. Like Josh compared to Brandon, I love watching them both, but they're so different looking out there, and it's awesome. It's just awesome.
I've met him a handful of times.
Can you not tell him?
I can't tell him apart, dude. And I've met him enough times now that I can't say it.
Yeah.
And so now I need someone to tell me, like, hey, this is what Josh does. This is how he acts.
It took me a long time, but I got there.
They need to ride different boots or something is what they need to do, or different life jacket, just so it's super easy for me.
Well, it used to be really easy because Brandon had the long hair and
I
Josh
know.
had short hair, and then
Now
Brandon
it's, like,
cut his
same
hair.
length.
And it's like if you look at them, you can definitely like pick it out. But yeah, if you don't know, then
I don't know.
It's kind of hard. And now I'm having that problem with Kai and Ulf. Every time I see them, I'm just like, "What's up, guys?"
One of them needs to bleach their hair. Just make it easy here.
Yeah.
All right. I guess you can kind of talk about this a little bit if you want. Where do you see the future of wakeboarding head? We talked about print, but the sport in general.
Sport in general.
Yeah.
I think it's always going to be something that people are going to do. It's just the level of accessibility for the sport just gets higher and higher every year. I mean, I don't know if you saw, but Nautique just dropped their new G20. Well, a bunch of the boat companies just dropped their some of their new line, but one that really stuck out to me was the Nautique G23 and G25 Paragons, starting price at $434.
That's the starting price.
Yes, all listed on their website. It was like $430-ish. I think it's $434.
Yeah.
It's $430-ish, and then just for a cool $30,000 more, you can get a G25. But I mean, we're talking $500,000 for a boat, and yeah, granted, it's the creme de la creme out there. But even Axis, like those used to be semi-affordable in the 50-60 range. Now you can trick them out to be just as much as your 23 LSV or 24 MXZ, whatever you want. So until I don't think that's ever going to change. It's just going to keep getting higher and higher, which sucks. But that's where the cable stuff comes in, and kids getting out there with winches and shit. And that's where more people are going to get introduced to the sport that aren't, that don't know the rich guy with a nice boat.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But I think it's always going to be something that people are going to do.
I agree. Don't forget about the used boats. There are used boats out there that you can definitely get for way, way
Correct.
cheaper, and they're going to do 90% of the job probably that a lot of these boats do. And you're not going to need the massive wake anyways. But I do want to talk to some cable owners and some, guys who have gone in the business side. I talked to Dan on the cable side of things to see what does the landscape look like in America where we can get, more rapidly growing parks, or rapidly growing to get more parks. Like they do pop up, there are new parks here and there, but to get the accessibility, like you're saying, it needs to be one in every big city, every major metropolitan area. So how do we make that happen, I guess?
Yeah. And it's already difficult enough for cities to fund like skate parks and stuff. So if they wanted to fund something like that, I can only imagine the nightmare that would be.
Yeah.
You know, and then it would be run by the city. That would probably be shit too.
It probably wouldn't be great. you almost need to make it lucrative enough that it's such a good business opportunity that anyone with a good bit of money goes, oh, if this is going to have a good return in the next 6 years, and then we can pay it off for 10 years. This is awesome, man. It's cool. It's fun. So,
well, that's where a lot of people are going to the aqua parks and stuff, because there's no level of skill you need to do something like that. That's just show up, jump around, cool off during the summer. I mean, yeah, it's kind of lame when you're looking at it from the core rider perspective, but it just means to an end, you know, just like a necessary evil, as they say.
I think it's a good step. Get someone with a life jacket on. Next step, they're wakeboarding. Who knows? So,
and those things are fun, man. I don't know if you've ever jumped off one. They're fun.
As an adult, I think it's fun to do one time. And then I had my fun. But no, for kids, it's great. And then I think that's definitely a good aspect of the business for people looking to open up a cable.
Yep.
Wake pants, yes or no?
Sure, why not?
Sure, why not?
Sure, why not? Me personally, I've never worn them, but yeah, I mean, they're fun. Like, you see people like Clark and dudes like that rocking them, and yeah, he's got his full kit on. Wes got his full kit. Everybody's, you know, it's like 30 minutes of prep just to ride, you know, where I just want to get out there. So
I see both sides.
Yeah, so I'll just throw my boardies on. If it's cold, I'll, you know, wear a wetty or my follow, like pull over the hoodie thing. But I don't want to go out there and fucking do up my pants and button my shirt. And I actually, come to think of it, I had a video where the majority of my riding was in a button-up flannel shirt.
Those used to be hot in wakeboarding. The button-ups.
Yeah, but that was it was cold. We were shooting for my edit, and I didn't want my wetsuit just to be shown the whole time. So I was like, fuck it.
Yeah, I mean, wetsuit. I don't think it looks great.
But no, I don't knock it if that's what people want to do. Do you? All whatever. Right. It's just more work than I want to do, because I'm already putting on my knee brace and doing all that shit.
Fair enough.
And it's just a pain in the ass.
Yeah, if you're just trying to get out there and ride, you got a busy life. I mean,
exactly, man. I got like 45 minutes to ride, and then I got to get home and feed.
Can't put
feed the 3 dogs and the cat, and make sure everybody's good. And yeah.
Yeah, I was talking to Graydon, and he says you do have a soft spot for animals. So
it's true.
He says you've taken in a lot of animals, you take care of a lot of animals. Has that always been part of your life?
Growing up, we always had animals. Yeah. My father never wanted dogs. I don't know why. I think it was just something from when he was a kid, or he knew he was going to be the one cleaning up after him and not me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we always had cats and like hamsters and stuff when I was a kid. But I found my dog Gnarly on the side of the road. She's gonna be 15 this year. I found her on the side of the road on Lake Martin, between Alex and I's house. Is like this little shortcut that we used to go down. And she was maybe 2 months old at the time, little puppy, nothing, you know. And I was actually trying to get back to Auburn for a test I had that night. So I'm sitting there studying in the car. My buddy Mike was driving the car, and I was like, all right, turn down this way, whatever. And he's like, I was like, why are you stopping, man? He's like, there's a little puppy in the road. I was like, I've just been talking about wanting a puppy. So I slam my book closed, run out. She tries to get away, but, you know, doesn't have anywhere to go. So I just snatch her up. Called my girlfriend at the time, like, hey, I have this test at like 8 o'clock I got to go to, but I just found a dog. Go buy some puppy food, collar, all the whole shebang. And she gets all that stuff. I take her home, and I have this photo of her being in the bath for the first time. Just, you could tell it was taken, you know, I shot it with a potato because that was the cell phones at the time. But just little tiny dog looking up at me like, I just had her ever since, man. Yeah, she'll be 15 this year in December, and it's crazy to think I've just had her forever.
What kind of dog?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know.
Is it like how big?
Alabama dirt road dog. I always described her as a like small German Shepherd.
Okay.
Because she's a very shepherdy looking dog, but she only weighs like 45, 50 pounds.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not a tiny dog though. But.
No, she's like the perfect medium sized dog in my mind. But yeah, so when I got together with my wife, she had a dog, or she still has a dog named Millie. It's a little Boston Terrier mix that she got at the pound. That's a little deaf dog. She's awesome, super sweet. But if you give her the opportunity to run, she'll bolt. And you can't call her back 'cause she's deaf. We have another dog that we found in our neighborhood named Banjo, who's a little scraggly terrier looking thing. I don't know what he is either, but he's got a lot of energy and he keeps the other dogs young, so that's nice. And then we have a cat named Casey that my friend Brandon and his girlfriend Mary found on the side of the road. Called up my wife. Hey, what do we do with this? And she was like, we'll be right there.
So you and your wife are similar in that way.
Very much so.
Finding a lot of animals on the side of the road.
People suck, dude.
People, you gotta keep track of your pets.
People
here.
really suck. Like we've seen a lot of strays. Like in our neighborhood, I've seen a lot. I mean, Alex got a dog up at Lake Martin because the same thing. It was just a stray. You know, just I don't know if it's people not taking care of their animals and just letting them go, or kicking them out, or who knows? Who knows?
Well, they're ending up in good homes, so that's good.
Yeah.
I think we did the damn thing. I mean, is there anything else you want to talk about? You want to touch on wakeboarding, photography? I know you got is your Etsy still up?
Yeah, Etsy's still up.
Okay.
If anybody wants to buy a print,
I'll put just shoot me the link to that. I'll throw that up here.
Yeah, I will. I recently put some like wake stuff on there. I mean, that's where we got that up there.
Yeah, Dami
in the hood.
Literally
doing the damn thing. But yeah, there's some wake photos up there, also landscape and just whatever, just stuff that I like. That
check it out.
Some people tend to like. So they got that going. I can't really think of anything else that we didn't touch on. Just have fun out there.
Amen to that.
Stop asking for free shit and just go have fun. Oh my God. It's insane.
People ask you for free photos or what?
Not so much the photo stuff. It's now that I'm working with Phase 5 and Zap, people are just shameless when it comes to asking for free things on the internet. Yeah. And I always heard it from Quint at STZ. He's like, man, kids just hit me up. Oh, we'll get a free shirt, free there. Blah, blah. I'm like, oh, that sounds shitty, but it can't be that bad. And now that I'm running something like running a social media where I have access, or they have access to message me and stuff. Holy shit, this is bad. And it's just like, man, you got to give them like at least a look, you know, just be like, all right, well, man, like tell me about yourself, you know? But at the end, most of the time it's like these kids who don't have any shots of them riding any of this. Oh, I go to the lake twice a year. Let me get a free board. And like, nah, dog.
No, you're the one that's supposed to be buying the boards, dog.
Yeah. Here's a 10% discount code. Like, that'll do you.
Love it, man.
Yeah.
Anyone want to thank? Anything else you want to touch on? Or
Man, I want to thank my wife, Victoria, for dealing with my bullshit all the time. My friends that I grew up with riding, like Alex and David, and Clint, Ben. I mean, that list could go on forever, you know, like other riders like Taylor Renfro and Ben Albright. I don't know if you've heard of those guys, but Ben Albright used to be one of the best dudes out of Louisiana. My friends around here that like to go out and have a good time. My buddy Dylan and Augie, Rob, Luke, whoever else. I know I'm missing some people and they're going to be pissed, but it's just what it is. My mom and dad, anybody that's given me some free boards over the years, mainly Slingshot now. STZ was always having my back with stuff, which was cool. Yeah, man. Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Love it, dude. Yeah, I think we did the damn thing. Thanks for coming on. Really appreciate it. I was very excited to talk to you, and
Hell yeah.
it turned out to be a great combo.
Well, I hope it was semi-interesting. And
Keep on saying that. Come on, it's great. Everyone make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Really helps out. So I definitely appreciate when people share and everything online. So it's huge. Thanks again.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
See you, everyone.
All right.